to get up and speak to this motion. I feel a little bit like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, Madam Speaker, because this is my 12th spring sitting, and every spring sitting except those during the minority government, we saw the same pattern. The same pattern. It didn't matter whether the Liberals are in power, the governments are, the Conservatives are in power, the Liberals in official opposition, the Conservatives in official opposition. The pattern is the same. The government brings its most significant bills, the most complex bills, the longest bills, the most important bills often late in the sitting. Too late, Madam Speaker, and sometimes in a blizzard of bills to just kind of flood the zone, as they say. Madam Speaker, the official opposition, as a result, rags the puck until they get, or maybe not, some concession they're looking for from the government, and then they agree to kind of lighten up and remove some of the blockading bad behavior they're doing. So whoever's in the official opposition, they behave badly to try and get something they want that delays the work of the Legislative Assembly, Madam Speaker, and continues to lower us in the view of New Brunswick voters below where we already are, Madam Speaker. We can be so much better, Madam Speaker. And then the government brings a closure motion, time allocation motion. We're running out of time. We've got to ram these things through, Madam Speaker. And just like in, Bill Murray in Groundhog Day, you try and do something different every spring to see if you can't change the outcome of this, Madam Speaker, as he did to try and get out of that loop he was stuck in Groundhog Day. And so every year come and every spring and try and propose something different to get us out of this loop, and it never happens, Madam Speaker. Never happens. We propose to significantly return the number of sitting days back to where they were before Brian Gallant government was elected. No. We proposed bringing 2 weeks in reserve, like they do in Quebec, to take care of business if we need to go longer. No, Madam Speaker, and so on and so forth. So what happens? There's real consequences, Madam Speaker. For example, we are not going to debate or have the opportunity to amend the property tax bill, Madam Speaker. A bill that people around this province were putting a lot of hopes in. It was going to make a difference. It was going to make the system fairer, Madam Speaker, and it's not going to do that. And it's tempting to go into debate that, but that's not the role of this motion, Madam Speaker. So there's a bill that's so important to so many New Brunswickers left to the last minute, and we're not going to be able to deal with it. The official opposition ragged the pup. The government brought it late. Same old pattern. This has happened before. In 2017, the Gallant government used closure to shut down debate on 9 bills, and this included amendments to the Public Health Act to dismantle the Chief Medical Officer's office. And the bill was never debated at committee. No opportunity for amendments rammed through. 2022, it went to blue. The Higgs government severely limited debate on their massive local government reform legislation, with the bill introduced on December the 1st and passed through in a closure motion 2 weeks later, Madam Speaker. Another piece of important legislation. So what's to be done, Madam Speaker? That's the question. Perhaps we can fix some of the problems through a change to our House rules, perhaps, Madam Speaker, but it also lies with the leaders. The leaders need to lead on this and acknowledge that this Legislative Assembly has a specific and important role to play. It's not a rubber stamp to the government's agenda. But both the official opposition, the Conservatives when they've been in power, the Liberals when they're in power, treat it that way. Every time. All the time. And so it's become normalized. Normalized. So no one thinks any differently about it. Well, that's just the way it is. It's like I was told the first sitting I was selected to, I participated in, I was told by the government house leader, the Gallant government, well, the system is the system, member of Fredericton South. System is the system. Tough. Can't change it. Well, I don't believe that. Can't take no for an answer. Our responsibility is to the people of this province to try and make this House work for them. Like some of the members have said, we're all elected here by New Brunswickers. You know, the votes cast for the government members are no more valuable than the votes cast for the official opposition members or the Green members here. They're all have an equal weight in terms of our ability to represent the people who voted us here. It should have equal weight, Madam Speaker, but that's not how this legislature is being run. Whoever's been sitting in government decides to wield power instead of step up to serve our democratic institution, to serve the democracy of this province, and to serve all the people of this province, not just the party members that they are so, whether they're Conservatives or Liberals in government, that they are so focused on, to the exclusion of so many other people who they're supposed to be representing. So, Madam Speaker, we have a. This is really a mockery of democracy, a demockery here, and it's just been getting worse. This session, Madam Speaker, has been normally what feels like the sitting before a general election. Chaos. Chaos. I mean, I remember the first time I was elected, that first 4 years, things were going along, and then we got to the spring session before the election called, and the place went nuts. It became hyper partisan. Nothing was being done in the interests of the people of this province. It was all about positioning for the election, Madam Speaker. And I feel like that's what's happened since the last election. The parties have been doing nothing but positioning for the next election, Madam Speaker. And we need to do better than that. So there is no reason to bring time allocation if bills were carried over to the fall. And dispense with doing a throne speech. It's not a requirement. It's not necessary. So if there's important business undone, let's get it done in the fall. So, but that's not been the practice here, Madam Speaker. In Parliament, that bills carry over and they get done at the next sitting, they get addressed at the next sitting. Of course, you know, if the government decides to hold a throne speech, then they die on the order paper and then they can reintroduce them. But the pressure is always on here to get everything rammed through in the single sitting, no matter how important the bill is to be well scrutinized, no matter how important it is to provide the opportunity for potential amendments to the bill, Madam Speaker. And, you know, today we had the member for Grand Lake provide an interesting amendment for the mining minerals resource bill. I brought a couple of amendments on last night at 9:30 I thought were quite reasonable to the Lobbyist Registry Act bill, Madam Speaker. But you know, that's the other thing that's become normative in this legislature. Opposition amendments rarely get supported because why? Government doesn't want to, in quotes, give the opposition members or parties a win. Well, when an amendment is in the best interests of the people of this province, it's not a win for a party, that's a win for New Brunswickers, Madam Speaker. And that's what we should be focusing on. The Premier, when she was in opposition on this side of the House, talked a lot about wanting to be collaborative. And, Madam Speaker, this House has been anything but collaborative. The last time it was truly collaborative was in the minority government. It took us a year to get our feet under us because we weren't used to doing that kind of collaborative work. But after year one, it started to happen, and it felt good. And we got things done for the people of this province that were important, that represented collaboration and bringing together the various views of the different parties and members in the House to come to a good result in numbers of cases. Madam Speaker. And that's the power of a minority government, and that's the power of proportional representation if we had that form of democracy, which most jurisdictions around the world do. We don't. But you can see how it could work when you have minority governments. Of course, that was the first minority government in 100 years, Madam Speaker, and I don't know when the next one will come along. But they're not ideal because they don't have the stability of a truly collaborative legislature where people are elected proportionate, get the number of seats proportionate to their votes. So, Madam Speaker, I certainly cannot support this motion in any way, shape, or form. It's just a repeat of the same thing that happens every spring, whether it's the Conservatives in power or the Liberals in power, Madam Speaker. So here we are again. So, yeah. So anyway, Madam Speaker, thank you for your attention. I got to say, in this session, I was disappointed that for the first time we had the official opposition clearly using a lot of ChatGPT, a lot of AI to turn out their speeches, and they're boring. They're just boring.
Yours aren't that exciting.
Madam Speaker. But at least my speeches, Madam Speaker, are organic. They're organic, Madam Speaker. Those AI speeches are just like wading through mud. So, you know, if people are going to start using AI speeches, Madam Speaker, in this House, they might as well just put the little AI chat bot right on the desk there, and you can push a button and let it go and speak, because there's audio to chat boxes, and then you can recognize that chat box from that writing, and away it goes. It delivers a 40-minute speech, and who would know the difference? Nobody. I mean, it's not like the old days, when you had people like Ross Wetmore, who actually knew how to actually do a filibuster in a way that was, interesting, informative, kept people's attention so they didn't miss the jokes. So, and sometimes, Madam Speaker, a filibuster is the appropriate thing. If it's a matter of principle that you're filibustering on, that's fine. And hopefully it works, and sometimes it does in politics. And it's a long, proud tradition, the filibuster. If there's being done for a principled purpose, but to drag the puck as a matter of routine as we head towards the end of the spring sitting, and I'm speaking about both parties here, is not okay. So, Madam Speaker, thank you very much. We can do and must do a lot better in this House, and I'm certainly open to those conversations with anyone in this House who dares be seen with me if their leader doesn't want that to happen. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is there any other members? I recognize a member for Fredericton Grand Lake.